accordance with Section 14 of the Assumption of the Office of President Act, upon signing the certificate of inauguration, the outgoing President shall hand over to the President the following instruments of power and authority: a sword and the Constitution. I therefore invite His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta and His Excellency the Honorable Mwai Kibaki, who will be assisted by the Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, General Julius Karangi, to the inauguration arena.
Anakabidhiwa hivi sasa upanga, hiyo ishara ya kwamba amekuwa amiri jeshi mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi ya Kenya. Haya, tumshangilie kwa makofi, shangwe na nderemo. Haya, asanteni, asanteni. Amekabidhiwa pia nakala ya katiba ya Kenya. Haya, makofi, makofi mazuri. Haya, mabibi na mabwana, tusimame na tutulie. Tuendelee kusimama tafadhali. Haya, tutulie tafadhali. Haya, mabibi na mabwana, tutulie tafadhali kwa fanfare. Haya, asanteni sana. Tutulie wananchi. Sasa tutulie kwa wimbo wa taifa ambao utachezwa stanza zote tatu.
We now come to the end of the judicial part of the ceremony. We now have in office the fourth President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, and the first Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable William Samoei Ruto. We now come to the end of this ceremony, and I now request the Chief Justice, together with the Deputy President, Mrs. Margaret Kenyatta and Mrs. Rachel Ruto, to leave the inauguration podium for the military part of the ceremony. Thank you.
Haya, wananchi tafadhali, tutatulia kwa wimbo wa taifa ambao utachezwa stanza zote tatu, na baada ya wimbo wa taifa wananchi utagundua kwamba bendera itakuwa inabadilishana. Bendera ya Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki itakuwa inashushwa na bendera ya rais anayetawazwa siku ya leo itakuwa inapandishwa juu, na hivyo hivyo nyuma ya jukwaa picha ya rais anayeondoka itaondolewa, alafu kutawekwa picha ya rais anayechukua mamlaka hivi sasa. Na baada ya wimbo wa taifa, mabibi na mabwana, kutakuwa na kipindi cha salute ya mizinga 24 ambayo italetwa kwenu na jeshi letu la wanamaji. na tunauliza tafadhali wananchi mtulie, kwa sababu mizinga hiyo haitamrudhuru mtu yoyote. Asanteni, tafadhali tutulie kwa wimbo wa taifa. Tutulie wananchi. Tutulie wananchi, tulia tafadhali. Samahani. Haya, tutulie tafadhali wananchi. Sawa 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 sawa, tutulie tafadhali, tutulie tafadhali. Tutulie tafadhali. Asante. Hivi sasa bendera iliyoshushwa ya Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki inapelekwa hivi sasa kwake Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi ya Kenya Jenerali Julius Karangi ambaye ataweza kumkabidhi rasmi Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki bendera yake ya urais anapoenda sasa kupumzika baada ya kuitumikia nchi ya Kenya kama amiri jeshi mkuu na rais wa jamhuri yetu ya Kenya kwa muda wa miaka 10. Anapokea bendera hiyo. Tumshangilie kwa makofi Mheshimiwa Mwai Kibaki kwa kuweza kuipokea hiyo bendera baada ya kuitumikia Kenya kwa muda wa miaka 10 kama rais.
May I most humbly now request His Excellency to be joined together by Honorable Ruto and their wives for a brief prayer.
Na kabla ya hiyo, hivi sasa mkuu wa gwaride hii anakuja kuomba ruhusa.
Honorable Ruto, prayer.
Sawa sawa bwana sana.
Bishop David Ogide will lead in a short prayer now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press and fellow Kenyans, in the life of any nation, a time comes when the people and their leaders must audit the progress made towards the attainment of the goals and prayers laid out at the founding of the nation. Abraham Lincoln said, and I quote, "If we could first know where we are and whither we are tending, we could then better judge what to do and how to do it." When such time comes, the leaders entrusted to secure the goals, in our case, justice, unity, peace, liberty, and prosperity for all, have a duty to reflect on their performance in the search for these hallowed goals. Such a time has come for Kenya. 54 years into independence, we are challenged to audit our progress towards the ideals for which our fathers fought to establish a free and independent country, and for which many of our compatriots died. We, the leaders, are equally summoned to reflect on our performance toward the achievement of our nation's aspirations. This audit and introspection has been a long time coming. Throughout our independence history, we have had doubts on how we have conducted our affairs in the face of growing divide along ethnic, religious, and political lines. Regrettably, we have responded to our challenges by mostly running away from them. We have moved from year to year, election to election, never pausing to deal with the challenges that our diversity was always going to pose to our efforts to create a prosperous and a united nation. Consequently, the ties that bind us are today under the severest of stress. Our diversity appears destined to be a curse to ourselves today and to our children tomorrow. In the past, we have given a lot of attention to institutional reforms in the hope that this could lift us to the next level of nationhood and make us a blessed land. 7.5 years ago, we gave to ourselves a new constitution. We put our faith in it as the instrument to revolutionize our nation. In this way and many other ways, we created some of the best hardware any country has ever possessed to engineer their affairs. We must be courageous enough to admit that it has not worked. It has failed because we are yet to upgrade our software. We have been pouring new wine into old wineskins. The gospel tells us that new wine needs new wineskins. The time has come for us to confront and resolve our differences. These differences are becoming too entrenched. No two Kenyans agree on the origins of the differences and what they portend. Millions of our children continue to be born and married into these differences. People are dying out of these differences. Many of these differences are already well entrenched in the third generation of Kenyans that are currently leaking into the fourth generation in primary and secondary schools. Yet in many instances, Kenyans cannot remember why and where they disagreed in the first place. As we fight ostensibly to save ourselves from each other, the reality is we need to save our children from ourselves. My brother and myself have therefore come together today to say this dissent stops here. We refuse to allow our diversity to kill our nation. We refuse to be the leaders under whose watch Kenya slid into a failed nation. This is a call to self-reflection. We have to look into ourselves and challenge our readiness to make the changes that will allow our institutional reforms to work. So long as we remain divided, acrimonious, selfish, and corrupt, no amount of institutional reform will better our lives. The reform process will become an exercise in diverting attention from our own failings and taking refuge in the blame game. We therefore seek your partnership in this initiative, fellow Kenyans. We are all sailing in this one ship. We must come together to scoop out the water that has been sipping, or we shall capsize. We have traveled too far to turn back. We would never make it back to the shore. Yet we can't make it to our destination either. Our only option is to come together and scoop out the waters of animosity that we have been pouring into the boat before we all sink. Once again, as Lincoln said, the result is not doubtful. We shall not fail. If we stand firm, we shall not fail. God bless Kenya. So, kwa Kiswahili tumekuja pamoja na ndugu yangu Uhuru Kenyatta. Tumeongea kwa kirefu na tumekubaliana ya kwamba tunataka kuunganisha Kenya iwe taifa moja. Na tumesema mgawanyiko ambayo imekuwako tangu uhuru mpaka leo itakwisha hapa na sisi. Na kutoka hapa tunataka kuunganisha taifa la Kenya ili tutembee pamoja kama watu moja. Hiyo ndio sababu ya sisi kukuja pamoja hapa siku ya leo. And we say that the divide ends here, beginning the process of building the bridge that binds Kenya together. Yes, where we are. Sasa ndugu yangu ataongea.
God bless.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I have taken great pleasure this morning in welcoming my brother, Raila, to Harambee House, where, as he has clearly indicated, we have had the opportunity for extensive discussions on matters Kenya. And we have come to a common understanding, an understanding that this country of Kenya is greater than any one individual. And that for this country to come together, leaders must come together. Leaders must be able to discuss their differences. Leaders must be able to discuss freely and openly what ails our country, what is the reason and the cause for the ethnic divisions and frictions that we see across the country, that sometimes lead to even intercommunal conflicts, as we have seen in various parts of our country. We have seen up in Wajir, as we have seen in the borders of West Pokot and Marakwet and many other places. So we have a responsibility as leaders to be able to come together to discuss these issues and to find solutions that will bind our people together, that will unify our country, and that will give us a life cycle that is beyond the 5 years that we have established for ourselves. Elections come and go, but Kenya remains. So as we plan ourselves for the future, our future cannot be dictated by the forthcoming election. Our future must be dictated by the prosperity, stability of our nation, and the well-being of our people. Democracy is not, as has often been said, an end in itself. It is just a process by which the will of the people is heard, but the national good, the national interest must always prevail over those elections. And this is what me and my brother have agreed, that starting today, we will begin a process of bringing our people together, that we will begin a process of discussing what ails us and what creates division amongst us. And we look forward to the support of every single leader. We look forward to the support of every single Kenyan, so that we can build together a united, harmonious, stable nation where no individual feels left out or left behind. So to me, this marks a new beginning for our country, a beginning in which we hope that we shall march together as Kenyans, and that we can differ in terms of political alignment, but always remain steadfast and united in matters Kenya. So with those few and brief remarks, a more detailed statement will be given to all of you to be able to read and to understand, that formulates this new beginning that we seek to start. And we thank you for finding time to join us. And as my brother has said, we look forward to you to be our partners to create this new Kenya. Thank you, and God bless you.
Walikuwa wanaturingia ati nobody can stop reggae. Reggae imekwama, haijakwama. Reggae imefika tamati, haijafika. Imefika mwisho, haijafika. And we want to tell our friends, the Handshake Brothers and the BBI fraud they visited on the people of Kenya. Now that it is confirmed by the Supreme Court that the BBI and all the shenanigans around it were matters that were unconstitutional, illegal, null and void. The Handshake Brothers need to make an apology to the people of Kenya. They have wasted 4 years of our time. They sabotaged the Big Four plan that was going to give jobs to our young people in favor of a fraudulent exercise meant to satisfy the selfish interests of a few people. Now that the court has made a determination that the BBI process was illegal, unconstitutional, null and void, now we want to tell them the least we expect from the promoters of the BBI nonsense is for them to own up and apologize to the people of Kenya that they wasted our 4 precious years. They sabotaged the Big Four plan, and they have spent billions of public resources on a process, on a project that is illegal and unconstitutional. They need to apologize to the people of Kenya so that they can walk in this country knowing very well that they did what was unconstitutional and what was wrong. Watu wa Lamu tunakubaliana? Si hawa watu waombe msamaha? Wametupotezea miaka 4 wakitusukumia mambo ya ukora ya BBI. Ati pesa za Lamu zipunguzwe. Ati mambo ya Kenya ati waongeze mamlaka ya rais. Ati waongeze vyeo ya viongozi. Lakini mahakama leo imesema ile story ya BBI ilikuwa ni ukora mtupu, ilikuwa ni utapeli mtupu, na imesema hiyo mambo yote ni ukora na ni kinyume ya katiba na sheria za Kenya. Tunawataka wale walikuwa wanatusukumia hii mambo sasa waombe msamaha kwa watu wa Kenya kwa kutupotezea miaka 4 na kwa kutumia mabilioni ya pesa ya umma kwa mradi ambao ulikuwa ni kinyume ya sheria na katiba ya Kenya, mradi ambao ulikuwa unahujumu yale mambo ambayo katiba ya Kenya imewapatia wa Kenya as rights ambazo ziko katika katiba letu. Tunaelewana jameni? Waombe msamaha, wasiombe msamaha. Waombe msamaha, wasiombe msamaha wa majamaa. Tunaelewana? We expect nothing but an apology from the promoters of the BBI charade, a project that has costed public resources, billions of money.
Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, waziri mkuu wetu wa zamani, waheshimiwa manaibu wa rais wa zamani, Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka na Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners and Ambassadors, maspika wetu wa bunge la Senate na bunge la kitaifa, viongozi wote, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First, I want to say that I hope, Mheshimiwa Raila, you are not referring to me as a bourgeois. But I want to agree with you. I want to agree with you that we have a mischievous media sometimes, not all the times. On a day as important as this, when you have a headline saying Raila Odinga says he's going to run in 2022, they are trying to reduce this occasion to a matter of 2022. But we have all agreed that it is not. But on the same media, the same headline, they have said that William Ruto is coming to meet demons at Bomas. Now, I am asking myself whether there are any demons in Bomas. Or better still, maybe I can ask them, Olisikia wapi, that there are demons in Bomas. But having said that, Your Excellency, this is a very important moment in our history. Important because you have persuaded us that the making of a constitution is always work in progress, and that we must strive progressively to have a negotiated constitutional settlement, or to arrive at a place where we are all working together, building consensus. And I share fully with those sentiments. I know even as we are having this meeting, and this launch of this report of the Building Bridges initiative. Your Excellency, you have persuaded us that this is a moment to look at our Constitution and to find progressive amendments to our Constitution. There are those who believe, yes, it's a constitutional moment, but to progressively implement the 2010 Constitution. Civil society and others think so. There are those who believe that maybe this is a moment to discuss the ravages of COVID and the reality of our economic status, especially the majority, 40% odd people of our country who live below the poverty line, and the 16 million or so young people who are unemployed. All this, Your Excellency, as you have said, and as the former Prime Minister has said here, this is a process where we can bring all our views together and listen to one another. And no idea is more superior or less superior to the other. Let me say we have a civic duty, all of us as Kenyans, to engage in this process. We do not have the luxury to say, I don't care. We do not have the luxury to walk away. In any case, it is said that the punishment given to good people who don't participate in the politics and governance of their country, the punishment given to them is to be ruled by fools. I don't think any one of us here wants to be ruled by fools. That's why we must participate in this process. And it's our civic duty to do so. The BBI process has given us a raft of proposals for us to see, to interrogate, to improve. You did tell us, Your Excellency, that we're all free to improve on this process. And the many proposals that have been put, especially that were outlined here by Adam Solo on administrative issues, on legislative issues, I believe that since we have a forum where in Parliament and in government, where we can discuss the policy, the administrative, and the legal issues in Parliament, that can be interrogated in that process. Many of those issues that are administrative and that are legislative are issues mainly to do with our youth, mainly to do with how to do business, how to grow our economy. And Your Excellency, I want to say that these are very important issues. And in any case, I would add that from that list, especially on matters to do with young people, how we can assist them with Higher Education Loans Board and give them a moratorium, how they can start business, it must not be lost on us that the real problem, the real problem is that these young people are jobless. That is the real cause of all this. And that is the discussion we must have. That is the discussion we must have. Having said that, Your Excellency, there are, in my opinion, gaps. The single most important sector that drives our economy, contributing 25% directly to our GDP and through manufacturing another 24%, and which employs almost 65% of all people in Kenya, is the agricultural sector. I dare say, Your Excellency, that this is an area that, again, we must find a mechanism of having a conversation, especially the farming community, and matters to do with productivity, matters to do with proposals that were made on guaranteed minimum returns for our farmers, our wheat farmers, our sugarcane farmers, our coffee farmers, our tea farmers, our dairy sector, the pastoralist corner. Your Excellency, it is my humble submission that that is an area that we can improve this document on. I have heard many speakers say they have finished reading and we should move on. We are not all at the same level when it comes to reading. Scientists like myself, we take a bit long because we interrogate things and we want experiments and we do many things. So I would plead with the fast learners like Alonzo Musyoka to bear with us just a bit so that we can all move together. And I agree with Kalonzo Musyoka that we should try and have a non-contested referendum if we will end up there. But, Your Excellency, let me just say 2 or 3 things before I conclude. On the matter of the judiciary, allow me to say there is huge space for us to have an improvement on the proposal that has been made. Access to justice is one of the biggest challenges that we had, and that is why the 2010 Constitution was promulgated. As we talk today, the judiciary, as per the requirements of the law, there should be a high court in every county. As we talk today, there are counties, almost 5 counties, that do not have a high court, and many Kenyans have to travel far to look for justice. As we talk today, though the law provides that there must be a court at least in every sub-county, there are 160 counties that do not have a court at all. And the problem is that the budget for the judiciary, we need to operationalize the judiciary fund that is already in the Constitution, so that the judiciary can establish more courts and the judiciary can hire more judges and more staff so that Kenyans can have access to justice. The recommendation that has been made to have an ombudsman appointed by the executive into the judiciary, in my respectful submission, is a derogation from the independence of the judiciary. And we must be careful. We must be careful about the independence of institutions. We are coming from a history where judges received telephone calls, where courts were held at night. We do not want to go there. On the matter of IEBC, let me say, on the matter of IEBC, the recommendations that I have read say that political parties participate in the appointment of commissioners to IEBC. My brother Raila Odinga is good at football. So let me try to ask, how fair will be a league where the referee is appointed by teams. And not all the teams, some teams. How fair will this league be? If you persuade me that you will end up with a fair game, fine. That's what I'm saying. So if you tell me it is okay for some players, for some teams, not all the teams participating, to appoint the referee, if that's what we are saying, I have my reservations. And I need to be persuaded, like many other Kenyans, that that is fair. On the third issue, you have heard me, I have heard you. And I think that is good progress. It's good progress. You've heard me, and I have heard you. You think it's fair? I have a different opinion. Maybe we will find a meeting ground somewhere. The third issue, the fourth issue, the third issue, Your Excellency, is the independence of our police force. The 2010 Constitution was very clear that the police must act independently of any politicians, whether they are in government or in the opposition. To recommend that we will have a police council chaired by a CS is actually a derogation from the independence of the police. And I want to ask you, we must be careful on where we are going. Today, you may have the latitude to do what you think will be right as per you. Tomorrow, the shoe will be on the other leg. On matters to do with devolution, I agree that the increase to 35% is progressive, and that we must devolve more resources to counties. But accompanying the increase of resources to 35%, we must also ensure that the Senate has the necessary constitutional power to ensure that those resources are available and they are used properly. To recommend that the Senate cannot continue to have the constitutional mandate to discuss the division of revenue is actually a downgrade of the Senate. In my respectful submission, with additional resources and with some members of parliament now being members of the executive because of the appointment of some members of parliament as members of the executive. In fact, the recommendation should not be a downgrade of the Senate, it should be an upgrade of the Senate to the upper house. And in any case, so that I conclude, in any case, we are now saying women and the participation of women in our governance doesn't make us weaker, it makes us stronger. It doesn't make us lesser, it makes us greater. If we are saying in the proposal that women now go to the Senate, and you are saying that when women go to the Senate, they are going to a Senate which has been downgraded, which has no responsibility on matters of resource allocation. Are you enhancing the participation of women, or are you downgrading the participation of women? I mean, we are having a frank and honest conversation, good people, and it's good for us to listen to one another. So if we are saying women who today are sitting in the National Assembly, where resources are being discussed, if we take them from the forum where resources are being discussed and take them to a downgraded Senate, we are making the participation of women nominal. The participation of women should be substantive, in my respectful submission. And finally, Your Excellency, I know my brother Bishop Oginde has said there are hustlers here and they should stop the hustling, and they are the reggae people and they should stop the reggae. I don't know about the reggae, maybe I can talk about the hustlers. But let me say the following. The real elephant in this whole conversation is what was identified as the winner take all and the inclusivity question. Now, Professor Adam Solo, I have confessed I'm a scientist and I'm a bit slow. I want you to explain to me in this proposal. You have said that in this proposal, we will have the president with his running mate, deputy president. They will win, or we have candidates, they will win an election, and then the president will appoint the prime minister and the two deputies from the winning coalition. And then we will have the runner-up being the leader of opposition. Now, no problem, it doesn't matter who it is. I have no problem. You know, let us not personalize, there is no problem. Now, the question I am asking myself, have we sorted out the winner take all question? Oh, is that so? So, the president from his side, like for example here, President Uhuru Kenyatta, I am here, Kimunya is the prime minister, because he's the leader of majority. We have Jimmy Angwenyi, who is our deputy, as a deputy prime minister, and maybe Maoka Maore as one of the deputies. So, what happens to the whole NASA brigade, together with Musalia and all these other people? I mean, and I am not saying anything. I'm just saying I want to be persuaded. And forgive me if I am slow. Forgive me. There are so many Kenyans who are in my category. Are we together? Finally, on this inclusivity question, it is my humble submission that as we discuss inclusivity around us, the leaders, we must have a candid, open discussion on inclusivity about the millions of Kenyans locked out by poverty and unemployment. We must discuss how they are going to be part of the Kenyan society. That discussion we must have. And I want to thank the young man, very good, and the bright, intelligent young man from Kitale, because he said that we should not bring 16th century technology. And I am sure he was referring to the wheelbarrow. And possibly he was referring to me and this wheelbarrow. Sindio? Good. Now, the question I want to ask us, how come in the 21st century, a 16th century tool called the wheelbarrow, millions of citizens in the 21st century are still dependent on the wheelbarrow and mokokoteni. That is the discussion we need to have. Yes. That is the discussion we need to have. And that discussion is a discussion that involves millions of Kenyans. Millions of Kenyans. Let me then say, as I conclude, that the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, I am finishing. You know, I speak for millions of hustlers, so just give me a minute. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Bishop Oginde said that the hustlers must stop the hustling. I have heard leaders here say that as we discuss this conversation, we must not have an us versus them. I have also heard leaders here say we must never have a conversation and a contest about the poor and the rich. We must never go there. And I believe we must never go there. But I want to remind you, good people, Abraham Lincoln, the 17th President of the United States of America, said, things may come to those who wait, but only things left by those who hustle. That is Abraham Lincoln. He was never talking about the rich and the poor. He was talking about the people who wake up early, the people who sleep late, the people who work hard, and that is the society we need to build. It is now my humble pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to ask His Excellency the President of Kenya to make his remarks, and thank you very much for listening to me. Asanteni sana.
Jamii za Kenya ni mingi, sio tu kuja kutupatupa maneno huko na ujui ni nini unasema, kulete hasira na uhasima kati ya Wakenya. We want one strong, united Kenya of 48 million people. That is the nation that we seek, that is the nation that we desire. Kwa hivyo, hiyo ndiyo barabara ambaye sisi tutatembea. La mwisho na nimalizie. Brother Atuoli na wewe Senator Malala, musione simba amenyeshewa mufikirie ni paka. Kila kitu na wakati wake. Sisi ni wana demokrasia. We believe in democracy. Watu wapiga ile wanataka kupiga, waandike ile mabarua wanataka kuandika. I am in charge of this government and I am in control of what we are doing. Tunaelewana wenzangu? Sitaki mtu akunilecture mimi. I know where I am and I am very clear about where I am going. Tunaelewana wenzangu? Kwa hayo machache na mengi nasema Mungu awabariki na awalinde. Asante.
Our clergy, all leaders present here today, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me begin by saying how pleased I am today to be able to fellowship with you as we all give praise and honor to the Almighty God for the year that has been, and indeed for the promise
of the remaining part of this year. For 19 years, the National Prayer Breakfast has been an important part of our public life. It brings together Kenyans, as well as our brothers and sisters from our region, and many from far beyond that, bringing us together in humility and thanksgiving as children of God. Therefore, today, we once again affirm our power of togetherness, where all of us, notwithstanding our political shades, our religious shades, we all come together, united in prayer. So my earnest prayer is that this unity of purpose and our shared humanity that has been displayed today will endure in every aspect of our lives going forward. I don't wish to dwell on the message that the clergy has given us today. Indeed, all with ears have heard. It is not for me to repeat. And I say this, well aware that the tempo of our politics is beating at an increasing rate day by day. But I just wish to emphasize that even as we engage in the upcoming contest this year or later this year, we know that the task of building a nation is a task that is passed from a generation to a generation. Generations are therefore called upon to pass that baton unbroken, and I intend to do just that. Therefore, as we spend time in prayer, in reflection, in thanksgiving, let us also leave here committed to being ambassadors of peace and unity. Indeed, over the last 2 years, we have had a very difficult and challenging times, the likes of which no other generation has ever faced in well over a century. A pandemic that has caused untold suffering, global tensions that are continuing, that are threatening global food supply, causing untold disruptions in commodity prices, turbulence in international finance. But I believe we should all take courage in the knowledge that in the midst of all of this, God has given and will give us the grace to endure and to turn some of the challenges into opportunities. Our prayers, more so during the COVID-19 cycle, brought us together, and in the process, countless lives were saved. Let me also thank the members of the Kenya Prayer Breakfast Fellowship, together with our Houses of Parliament, for hosting us continually over the last decade and for maintaining this tempo of prayer. We will continue in that endeavor, and it is indeed my prayer today that the Lord will bless each and every one of you, keep you all safe as He continues to bless this our beloved nation. So I conclude by saying, mine is to wish you all peace. Mine is to wish that we will end up much more united and stronger after this election than ever before. And to wish each and every person who is vying the best of luck, knowing that there will only be one winner, as we have been told. And our prayer is that we shall accept and be able to move forward and live to fight another day. Likewise, let me say that with the grace of God, I do hope the prayers of Mheshimiwa William Ruto come true. I'm really looking forward for a lot of peace and enjoyment
in the years to come. So with God's grace, tutakuwa tunaonana huko mbele. Asanteni sana. Thank you.